Well, spring ball is officially upon us as the Ohio State Buckeyes have begun their spring practice and took over the field. And there's so much to talk about. The quarterback competition is underway. The Ohio State running back room's looking really strong. The Ohio State wide receivers are looking great as always. We got to cover that and so much more this afternoon on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. Is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast. Anthony Moeglin running alongside my partner, former Buckeye Kevin Woidke. And today, as we march our way through March, that was not intentional there, but as we work our way through March, we finally get a little bit of football. And I hope that everyone's been able to see a lot of the clips that have come out of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center from these past couple days. Spring ball kicked off on Monday, so we're 3 practices in. And Kev, it's nice to see the football getting thrown, the actual football things happening. Feels like we were just doing it, and they kind of were about 6 weeks ago. But it's nice to see the Buckeyes taking the field back over and getting things set up for another season down in Columbus.
Oh yeah, it never stops. Grind never stops. They got probably 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks off. Who knows? Maybe a whole month. But they probably didn't get 4 weeks off. They probably got 2 to 3 weeks off, and then they started lifting again. Then they got into spring practice. But with how late the season goes this year, it's weird. It's different.
Mm-hmm. God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just an interesting model. But that's what we're going with right now. And I don't blame the guys if they seem a little lackluster or slow out the gate, because it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick turnaround.
It's a quick turnaround, and we've talked about it a number of times. Ohio State delayed the start of spring ball. A lot of teams got things started last week just because that's what they were doing. Ohio State was on spring break, so they delayed it till now. Still going to get a full month's worth of work in, so you get plenty of work in, and certainly excited to see it. And for me, Kev, when I see spring ball, I get back into that mindset of when we played, right? And obviously I didn't play at Ohio State, but I went through kind of a quarterback competition all 3 years of my time. And I just remember kind of the stresses, the anxieties of what it meant, right? It's a lot of hard work and you're in straight competition mode, right? And it's an interesting thing. It's a kind of a conversation I want to bring back up because I thought you had great perspective on it. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but there's this very fine line that teams have to balance when you're talking spring ball, when you're talking these competitions, even before fall camp starts and you get into game prep mode. You're battling for a position, but you're still a team and you still want the whole entire group to come together. I remember in my perspective on it, in the quarterback room, our meetings were always civil. We were best buds off the field. But once it was my 5 reps, I was trying to, win them all and trying to prove to our coaches that, I was the guy. And then when maybe my competition was up, maybe you're not so much cheering for completion every single time. Maybe you're cheering for an incompletion or a bad read just because you're so competitive. But from your perspective, Kev, when you're looking at, spring ball from the offensive lineman's point of view, it's probably less physical. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it's still that competition mode, but you're still trying to grow a lot of that chemistry. But what's it kind of like when you're in the trenches and you get into the dog days of spring practice?
Oh yeah, no, it's just as physical. It's interesting down there. They go at it pretty hard.
Yeah.
In their mindset that once spring ball's over, you'll be able to regroup and get rid of those nicks and knots and bruises and stuff. It's just I think it's different when you're vying for one position than when you're playing with a group of guys. Like from an offensive line perspective, I could be playing phenomenally, but if my guard to my right or or if I'm the guard, if my guy to my right or left isn't doing well, it can make me look bad as well. So you want your whole line, your whole unit. And with spring ball, a lot of the starters are kind of taking a back seat. They're chilling.
Yeah.
They don't need to go. as hard because they have their spots secured. And that's where someone like me, someone like Jack Jameson, Nate Brock, even the younger scholarship guys were going with the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s. So I didn't really have the luxury of being like, hey, this, I can't help a guy because I might be next to him in one series and then, or one group, and then the next one I'm not next to him, or vice versa. I'm not next to him, the next one I'm next to him. I need him to make me look good just like he needs me to make him look good. So it was a lot more camaraderie, and it's just a different mindset when you're on.
No, and you hit a couple good points there, right? Especially up front. If all 5 guys aren't on the same page there's always a mix-up. And one thing about linemen is they all go down together, and that's what makes linemen great. But that's also what makes the position tough. And you mentioned something there, Kev, that I think is really interesting that I want to dive a little bit more into. Is that in spring ball, it is a lot of the other guys. It is a lot of the depth pieces that are trying to vie for positions. Or if you have a high profile, position battle, i.e. the Ohio State quarterback position this year, you're going to see a lot more of those guys. But you're not going to see Jeremiah Smith, getting into the mix with people. You're not going to see any of the proven guys. It's going to be a lot of that prove it periods. And one thing I want to talk about, just because we've lived it, we've experienced it. There's a couple posts that I saw today when scrolling through X, and maybe some folks who have never seen or aren't used to seeing spring ball. There was like a little like excitement around Ohio State running 2 groups at one time, right? There was offense versus defense on one side and offense versus defense on another side. And I think the initial post was something to the effect of Brian Hartline's got this thing rolling. It's actually fairly common, right? That's a fairly common thing where you're just trying to maximize reps. Like it is not about scoring touchdowns. It's not about doing all this stuff. It is about executing your reps and making sure that when you guys watch the tape, that everybody got the opportunity to play and put their work out on tape, but everyone has the opportunity to learn and continue to get better. So thought it was some interesting scuttlebutt that I saw on X today, kind of looking at the inside, kind of the behind baseball of what spring ball practices look like.
Yeah, it's very common. It was always 1s versus 2s, 2s versus 1s the whole time.
Always,
so
yeah.
It was sometimes it would be 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2s, and that's where the real competition comes out, because 1s versus 1s or 2s versus 1s, they don't really want you going. They don't want anyone getting hurt. But 2s versus 2s,
it's on, dude.
It's on, and that's the difference. And that's where you take the O-line, you split them up, and with the starters out, it's really just, because that's how it is. It's really just wherever we can fit guys, we're going to fit them, and they're going to play there, because we were thin on the offensive line every spring ball I had, because those guys got reps and reps and reps and reps. And even when the receivers rotate out or the running backs rotate out, the whole line doesn't. Same with quarterback, but the pretty boys don't get hit that much. So
ever, baby.
It's frustrating. So yeah, the linemen take most of the reps. Offensive linemen probably have the most reps on the team every year.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny too, Kevin, and we saw it firsthand last year. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Donovan Jackson got spring ball reps at guard and tackle, and that's why he was so good. But the fact remains is that you never really know where you're going to end up being needed, and honing those skills and developing those skills is always very important. And just something that's very common to see, like maximize the reps, get as many reps as possible. That's kind of the motto of spring ball. So a quote that came out today from Ohio State quarterback coach Billy Fessler, when asked about the marquee position battle this year, which is that quarterback battle. It's between Julian Sayin, Lincoln Keenholz, and Tavian St. Clair, the freshman who reigns from Ohio. And we all want to know today. We all want to know on March 19th, who that quarterback's going to be leading the Buckeyes next year. However, you're so far off, and that's the quarterback conversation is kind of symbolic of all the position battles. Ohio State's filling a lot of roles, man. They're filling 7 on offense. You're filling 8 starter positions on defense. There is a long way for these competitions to develop, and you're going to see a lot of them stretch through spring ball, through summertime, and even into the beginning of fall camp before those starting positions start to get solidified.
Yeah, no, it'll be. I mean, because you don't know what could happen. Last week camp, someone could go down. Like,
Yep.
I just think it could be the third week of the year, like Joe Burrow was when Dwayne Haskins had to come in. We were running, and Joe breaks his hand. I want to say it was early. I don't know. It all fuzzes together. I want to say it was early in the season, but and then Dwayne was the guy because Joe had to get surgery on his hand, and obviously it didn't affect him too much in the long term, but you never know. So that's where it's like, who knows? It could be, and it was a simple inside run play. He pulled it on inside run, went to pull up before a D lineman, and they went into wrap, just like they do, and it was just he got smashed, and that's what happened. And it was a freak accident, but you never know. I mean, look at Seth McLaughlin last year, starter until non-contact injury. I don't remember if it was ACL or Achilles, one of the two.
Achilles.
And then you get thrusted into positions you don't know where you're going to be.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a really good point, and we've seen it the last couple of years as Ohio State's gone through several quarterback competitions, and maybe not so much competitions, but just not knowing. Think back 2 years, there's decision to see if Kyle McCord was going to be the starter. That competition went all the way up until game week, or until game like the day before they started prep for Indiana in that first year. Last year, a little bit of the same. It was between Devin Brown and Will Howard, and you never really got a sense that one guy was getting advantage over the other. It just worked itself out to the point where Will Howard took it over. So you're going to expect to see a lot of these competitions start to or continue to creep on. You're not going to be able to know. They're not going to come out tomorrow and say that Julian Sayan's the guy, although in the quarterback room, he is looking like he is at the top of the leaderboard. So we'll continue to obviously monitor that. But one of the rooms, Kev, that is going to be so vitally important for Ohio State to get right and to replace two guys who were two of the best to ever do it. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were the best 1-2 duo in all of college football. Your second guy has 3 touchdowns in a national championship game. Like, you can't draw it up much better than that. We were both Travion Henderson fans on this show. Obviously, Quinshon Judkins as well. 2 guys who are awesome. 2 guys that are now in the NFL. So that opens up the room for a lot of other guys, and there's a handful of names. C.J. Donaldson Jr. looks unbelievable. James Peoples has been a guy that everyone's pretty familiar with, and some newcomers coming in. And this running back room, man, is one that stood out, especially seeing some clips we've seen over the past couple of days. But it looks like a room that's going to pick up right where it left off.
Yeah, that is the offensive line is the catalyst, but I mean every year the running backs are so incredibly tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the way back to Ezekiel Elliott, maybe even before him, they just instilled a toughness in that room. Beanie Wells, just going back, Carlos Hyde, they instilled a toughness in that room that still resonates to today because there's always been a turnover. There's always been it hasn't been a clean slate of new guys coming in. It hasn't been a bunch of people that don't know what is going on. It's been pretty consistent with young guys coming in, taking over, doing what they need to do, and then they go down to the NFL, and then while they're doing that, the young guys below them are learning and doing it. So I think you'll see Peoples just exuding that toughness. Donaldson's played a lot of football, but when you're around those people, you're around those coaches, you're going to have the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's a wash, rinse, and repeat scenario in Ohio State, and it always seems to be that way. Donaldson met with the media today, mentioned that he lost 19 pounds since he's come to Ohio State, which is unbelievable. You've been through Coach Mick's workout programs, workout regimens. I know that they're not easy, but that's unbelievable. He says he feels like Flash out there. He feels a lot faster and a lot stronger there as well. A name that we didn't bring up, and a name that's he's from Cleveland. He's a freshman. His name's Bo Jackson. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making that up. Bo knows. But a freshman from Villa Angela St. Joe's High School here in Northern Ohio in Cleveland. And this is a guy to have your eye on. When you're going to start seeing him more and more, if you look for if you're going to, if you're watching any of the clips, he's all over it. He wears number 25 for the Buckeyes right now, and he's a guy to keep your eye on. We've had a lot of freshman phenoms last year, the most recent with Jeremiah Smith, and Bo Jackson certainly feels like he's got the wherewithal to be the next great one. So some fun names in that Ohio State backfield. All right, we are 1 week away, Kev, from a big day down at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. It is the Pro Day that's coming up next Wednesday, the 26th. So Pro Days kind of got started today. Alabama's had theirs, and Ohio State is coming next week. You've experienced Pro Days, Kevin. I believe did you work out in one?
No, COVID killed mine.
COVID got yours. Oh, that sucks. I didn't know that. But you've experienced them. What's it like? I know we've talked about it a little bit on this show before, but what's it like when the guys are getting excited to put on for all the NFL scouts who are in attendance?
Oh yeah, I mean it's an awesome atmosphere to watch it. I could imagine the nerves as someone participating in it, especially if you didn't get invited to the combine.
Yeah,
a lot of interviews. But then also you got to go out there and showcase in front of everybody what you can do. And it's not other people really, like, I don't know how to describe it. From like a quarterback's perspective, if you don't have a lot of receivers coming out, you've guys coming in from elsewhere. So you got to make sure you practice with them and you got to hope they make you look good. And then it's a lot of fun to be, especially the bench press part where you're cheering out. From hype, it's awesome.
That's so cool. And yeah, Will Howard was a big name of discussion after the NFL Combine because he didn't throw it all that well, and we talked about it right after that. It's like damn near impossible for you to just meet these random people for the first, not random, but meet total strangers and then try to complete passes. So he'll be able to put on a showcase with his guys running his routes and doing it their way. So that'll be really great. And just inside the comfort of your own facility, all these guys look to show out. And it's not only Ohio State guys, right? There's players that come in from a handful of different schools, right? Ohio in general is a hot pocket for Division III and Division II schools. So you'll have players from Ashland, you'll have players from even the University of Findlay, which is up in the Toledo area. You'll have guys coming from OU, coming from Dayton, Cincinnati, and potentially even some schools such as Marshall, right? We played them last year. They'll come and work out at the Pro Day. So there'll be a lot of eyes on the Ohio State Pro Day for some guys to really make their name. Exciting stuff that's coming next week. So once it happens, we'll obviously cover it and cover the results of it here on this show and on all of our sites here. So, Kev, we got through the football stuff. Now we primarily exclusively talk pigskin on this show. But today we're talking a little hoop. You're lighting up. I haven't seen you smile like this before. You had you could hoop a little bit back in your day. You have a cousin, I believe, right now who's a certified baller, right? But we got marches for hoops, man. Marches for hoops. I can't even square it up right. It's bracket season. I got an empty bracket here, Kev. What does your bracket look like? What's your favorite part of March? What do we got going on here as we're first half done in the second round, the second day of playing games here. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, we got who's playing right now? Is it
American and Mount St. Mary's?
Yeah. So I mean, I love this time of year. It's once the Super Bowl ends, you're kind of in that lull, but you're watching college basketball. I mean, I was watching that Arizona game where they hit the buzzer beater and then won, and I'm like, all right, now I'm ready for March Madness to start. I mean, you see teams. It's so much fun. Like. People work on Thursday and Friday. I don't know who does. Maybe like librarians.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool atmosphere. Like every year, me and my buddies, we get together. I take a half day from work, end up at the Harry Buffalo at noon, and we drink and watch games till 11. And it was a fun time. And then it's such a cool atmosphere. Like you think about it, like North Carolina thought they were done, and then they smoke San Diego State in the playing game. Some people were mad about that. That's the beauty of March. Everyone's mad. I don't care.
That's right. That's perfect for you.
It's the best time. I don't care. Like I just watched John Fanta go bananas, and I'm like, all right, well, this is a lot of fun. He's obviously sprawled like John Rothstein. They go crazy for college basketball. Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm just a happy spectator on the side. I mean, the teams I'm looking forward to, teams I want to see win. Well, I picked St. John's in one bracket, Florida in another, and Clemson is my this will never happen bracket.
Yeah.
but there's a chance.
You have to do the "this will never happen" bracket, dude. Even last night, right? We're in playoff game 16 versus 16, and Alabama State has one of the craziest.
I mean, that looked like a CYO game. That was insane. That looked like that.
Dude.
I'm serious, Anthony. I think one of us could have started on that team. Like, I mean, it was incredible to watch. Just a Hail Mary pass, 5 guys tip it. I mean, it looked like the Auburn game from a couple years ago. Throw it up, bunch of guys tip it, lands in someone's hand, throws up a layup, scores. I mean, it was just absolute mayhem. But that's March. That's the beauty of March. You never know.
It's the absolute best. My favorite March memories were in grade school, even coming up, even early grade school. My dad would pick us up at midway through the day. He'd pick up me and like probably my older brother and then a bunch of our friends. We'd go to a place called Damon's. If you're a Northeast Ohio person watching the show, you know Damon's well. And it was cool because you had TVs at every table, and then you had the big screens you could flip through and change all the audio and all that stuff. I just remember it. You'd stuff your face with wings and you'd be happy watching basketball, playing hooky from school. Always the best. Now the adult version of that hooky is checking your score, checking the scores on your ESPN app and following along until the night hits and you can get after it. But really fun. A couple big names, or a couple names you should look at in terms of upsets. McNeese State, coached by Will Wade. They're taking kind of the internet by storm. They got their ball boy comes out with the jukebox on, and
that's right.
Yep. Coached by Will Wade. They're going to be tough. Outside of that being like a social media thing, they are good at basketball. Hey, this team Drake, now they play Missouri. They're in the bottom left bracket. They can go. They have the best defense in the country, bar none. Really, really good team. Akron Zips, not just being a homer, they go out to Seattle, take on Arizona. They can match Arizona with pace. They can match Arizona with shooting and scoring. They're certainly on upset alert. And then you just then you say those names, they'll all get blown out, and then somebody crazy will knock somebody off.
Well, what I don't understand, McNeese State, Will Wade already took the South.
Already took
North Carolina State job. That's what's crazy about college basketball. Like, if I hear that, how am I going to go out and play for this guy? Like, he's halfway out the door already. He doesn't care. Like, that
is the nasty part about college hoops, right? That exactly is one of the tough parts about it.
I mean, that'll teach these kids how to sniff out a snake oil salesman, because this guy can't go out there and be like, "Hey guys, let's have one last ride." Like, you're gone, buddy. Like you've no faith in us to make a deep run. You've no faith in us. That job would have been there, most likely would have been there if he makes a deep run. And if it wasn't there, there's another job for him.
Well, that's the other thing, Kev. Just accept it in private, right? Hey, we're gonna do it. Let me have the respect of my team, and I can go out and coach them, and then we'll announce it when it's done, And it's like, it's that simple. It's super easy.
It's not like he can go recruit. He's in March Madness. Like, this is for recruiting. What do you mean it's for recruiting? He can't go recruit.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's insane, if you ask me, that he would do that. Another team, a 9-seed or below, I like Baylor. I already talked about North Carolina.
They might make a run.
They could easily make a run.
They're a tournament team, and RJ Davis, if he plays half as good as he did last night, that's a team that can make a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, and then St. Mary's, what are they? Yep. They're ranked decently. I don't know where they're 7, so they're not bad. They're content having 50-point games. They're going to slow that game all the way down.
Yep.
They don't care. And then, Akron, you already touched on them. Let me see if there's anybody else I see on here.
Dude, a big matchup just in general is Kansas versus Arkansas. You got John Calipari versus Bill Self for the right to, probably 95% sure, the right to play Rick Pitino. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? That's amazing.
Yeah, if you would have told me we were going to see Coach Cal versus Rick Pitino in a game again like this, I would have laughed at you.
I'd have laughed in your face.
Yeah, no. I also – maybe all tournament name team, Money Williams on Montana. I mean, that screams I don't think Michigan's a good team, and that's not a bias. That's just a reality.
Yeah.
But I also don't think Wisconsin is. So it's like I could see if NC and UC San Diego, they're shorter,
dude.
They're shorter guys, but if they hit from 3, it'll be because you're trading 2s for 3s at that point.
Dude, they're good. Dude, Michigan's only 2.5-point favorites in that game. Like it's a 12-5 matchup, and you're only 2.5-point favorite. Like UC San Diego is going to be a sexy pick that you hear in terms of upsets, but it's hardly that. It's damn near a pick 'em. From a 12.
That's Colorado State. Colorado State's a favorite.
Yeah.
Over Memphis of all teams. Like what? I don't know. It'll be great. It'll be a great March, but I'd love to see Cleveland State in here somewhere. Who beat them?
Youngstown State beat them.
Yeah, no. But who? Oh, Robert Morris. They would have played Bama in the first round. What a game that would have been. But no, it'll be fun. Louisville kind of got shuffled down to the 8th seed, and the other thing that people aren't talking about is Iowa State announced their best player was hurt 20 minutes after they got the 3 seed. Like they could be in. I mean, Lipscomb was probably upset and then ecstatic. And then I bet UNC is like, if we can get past Ole Miss, we're probably playing a beat up Iowa State or Lipscomb. Like, then you're going into Michigan State, which I think Michigan State's the powerhouse. My Final Four, if I'm being honest, is probably Michigan State, Duke, Tennessee, and Florida.
Okay.
Are probably my Final Four. I think Tennessee's a really good team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another SEC championship rematch of Tennessee versus Florida, because I think those are both pretty talented teams.
The SEC was unbelievable all year long, and they're really good. It's kind of earned at this point. They're very good. The bottom left, the West bracket is just the bracket of death, man. I mean, it's crazy. Florida's playing the best basketball of anybody in the country. If they win, they get to play probably UConn, who's the back-to-back defending national champions. They haven't been playing great this year, but they're still awesome. And then you got Memphis in there. Maryland's one of the best teams in the country. Like, they're one of the best teams in the Big Ten. And then you're going to have that Drake team that I talked about, probably not as high on that list. But then you got Texas Tech, either Kansas or Arkansas, not the highest seeds, but it's John Calipari and it is Bill Self, veteran winning coaches. And then you got St. John's. Like, good luck. Whoever comes out of the West is going to have earned it and be beat to shit. Excuse me. Going to be beat up because that's a tough bracket.
I think Duke has the easiest way to the Final Four. I think Florida has the hardest. Then I think I would go second hardest is probably Houston of the 1 seeds, and the third hardest is Auburn. If if Michigan State can slip up before they get to the Elite Eight, I think Auburn cakewalks to that Final Four.
No doubt. Auburn, first team that's really ever like stumbled into the best seed in the bracket. They were so good all year long, and they ended up losing 3 out of their last 4. And they kind of just stumble their way into the tournament, but still a force to be reckoned with. They're an awesome team. They're deep. A lot of these teams are really deep. You look at that, especially that South bracket. Auburn's got that to them. Marquette's got that to them. Michigan State's got that to them a little bit. And then, like you said, that Houston bracket, the Midwest. I think Houston and Tennessee, like, they're just on a crash course, like the 1 seed, 2 seed. I don't see much. I see that region being very chalky, where it's like, hey, the favorites are going to get through. And then that Duke region feels like they're going to roll. I mean, Alabama's the 2 seed. They just got beat by 30, the other night. So if their shot's not falling, they can get beat and beat badly. And like I said, that Florida region, the West region is doomed. Like, that is a tough ass region to get through. And then obviously the South we talked about, if Auburn and Michigan State also feel like they're on a little bit of that crash course. But ultimately you get a bracket in your hands. I'm a paper bracket guy. I certainly have my apps, but you get the bracket in your hands. It feels right. It feels good. I'm losing another bet right now as Americans getting beat. So that's a bummer there. You love it. That's why we play. That's why we love the sport. We love the game. exciting stuff. Cleveland's going to be featured in March Madness. They got two sectionals at Rocket Arena, so that's pretty exciting. I'm not going to be able to go to any of them, but they got the St. Mary's, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Robert Morris group. It's that 2 seed group in the East region, and then they have the Michigan State, Marquette, New Mexico, and Bryant on the other side from the South region. So going to be pretty cool in Ohio if you're able to make it up to Cleveland to see it. It's going to be well worth your while here. So, Kev, you gave us your Final Four. Who's your national champion? And we're going to get out of here on that.
Like I said, I got St. John's in one, Clemson another, and Florida in the third. I think if I'm going to take one of those three, I'll take Florida. They look like the best team in the country by a landslide.
They're hot as heck right now. They're playing the best basketball at anybody, and certainly look like it's going to be a tough team to beat. I want to pick St. John's. I want to pick the Johnnies, but I don't think they have the firepower to get through Florida. I like Florida coming out of the West. I like Michigan State coming out of the South. So you're going to have Florida, Michigan State on that left side of your bracket. I gonna have to pick Duke. I hate doing this. It's my Final Four is going to be really chalky here, but I got Duke coming out of the top right. They're really, really good. And then I think Tennessee comes out of the bottom right. So I'm gonna have 1 seed versus 2 seed on both sides. I got Florida versus Tennessee in the championship. There's your all SEC, and then Florida wins the championship game by 10 points. That's what I'm looking at here. Regardless of it all, whoever gets there. It's going to be a fun 3 weeks, and it all gets started tomorrow. So, Kev, we're mostly a football show, but today, hey, we can shoot it a little. We can step back and shoot it a little bit. Come on.
Oh yeah, back in my day. I mean, my cousin Quinn going to Kent State next year, good little baller, but he knows where he learned it from.
He knows where he learned it from. Old cousin Kev. That's where he got it. That's where he got it. Well, appreciate everyone jumping in and hanging out with us. If you watched it live with us, thank you. Enjoy some of the nice weather. We're going to get some really bad weather moving in here, so enjoy a nice evening. If you're watching us tomorrow, in the morning or whenever you are, appreciate you jumping in and hanging out with us. As always, please like and subscribe to the show. Please follow along on Twitter and head to our website, si.com/college/Ohio State. Before we get out of here, I want to bring up one thing because, Doug, you've been persistent, and I wanted to bring you up here. Every show, you get on my case about updating the entry to our shows. Want to acknowledge the fact that is in the works. You've been heard, and want to say thank you for always watching with us. We appreciate you. We're going to get something new in the works. It's going to take some time, but just know that is happening here. So with that, Kev, we're getting out of here. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Be sure to stick around on our YouTube channel, Ohio State Buckeyes on Ohio State Buckeyes on SI for all of your Buckeyes content. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.